It's the holiday season, and you know what that means. Freebies for my newbies. Stay tuned, everyone. You are plugged in to this week's episode of our RCM Roundup. Let's go. Hey everyone, how are you? Tiffany Robinson here from Beyond RCM Revenue Cycle Management here in the beautiful state of New York. And I want to thank you for once again taking the time to check out our latest RCM Roundup. To our returning viewers, thank you so much for joining us. I have a really great episode today that I'm so excited to get into. And if this is your first time checking out the channel, I want to wish you and extend to you a warm welcome. You've come to the right place if you are a new or aspiring medical biller or coder looking to navigate or break into the industry. Beyond RCM is all about helping newbies find their way in this profession, navigate landing their first job, helping them acquire the knowledge base that they will need in order to get their foot in the door, and then eventually help you be able to build upon this dynamic field that we call medical billing and coding, and more broadly, the revenue cycle management process. And we don't only provide insight on how to become a new or aspiring MBC, we also talk about how to break into the field of clinical documentation, project management, and auditing. So we provide a robust amount of information for individuals that are looking to gain traction in the healthcare space. And the ultimate goal is to be able to help individuals land their first job and begin their career journey. So if this is your first time checking us out, I want to encourage you to not just watch this video. We have a library full of content that we believe will be beneficial to you, but we also want to encourage you to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that every time we put out new content, you'll be the first to know. I try to put out at least 2 videos per month where we go over varying topics that are relevant to the field. And I do also put out shorts here and there. So log in, you won't be disappointed. You'll always learn something new each time you log in. So I'm going to continue our theme of going through our pro tips at the start of our videos and then addressing any comments that our viewers have sent in thereafter. I kind of like that format. I think the viewers like it as well. They want the nuggets. They're like, we want to know, we want the information. We don't mind going over the comments, but we want the info. So I'm going to go through my pro tip first. So in my last video, I put out a video that basically, and if you haven't checked out our last video, I'm going to pop it right here so you can check it out once you finish watching this video. But in our last video, I talked about different career options for individuals who went to school for medical billing and coding, but they're having a hard time breaking into the industry. So we went over certain professions that are medical billing adjacent, where employers will not necessarily have that requirement that they usually have, that you need X amount of years of experience, and employers would be more inclined to hire you in one of these roles. And the reason that we put out this video is because oftentimes when individuals become new medical billers or coders, they have a very hard time landing their first job because they don't have enough experience. So the purpose of the last video was, if you are one of those individuals who are having a hard time, that video helps you navigate other professions that are related to medical billing that will help you get your foot in the door. And it also touches on the importance of pivoting, knowing when you've acquired all of the information and experience that you've needed, when you've spent enough time at this position to be considered stable. We talked about hopscotching on resumes and how employers like me get nervous when we see that. But we touched on all these different subjects. So the reason I'm kind of giving you a little context about the last video is because I'm going to build upon the last video. And I'm going to emphasize one of the professions that we spoke about in the last video. So one of the jobs that we talked about in the last video was an insurance verification specialist. And we talked about how many larger organizations they hire these type of agents to screen patients and make sure that the patients have accurate coverage, make sure that their services are covered. They get an understanding of what the patient's cost sharing is. Cost sharing is deductible, coinsurance, copay. And basically, it's a way for larger organizations to make sure that they are seeing patients that have active insurance. And if anything changes with the patient's insurance, they know that before the patient actually comes through the door, and they can reach out to the patient to either get updated information, offer the patient the option of self-pay, or even cancel the appointment if necessary and put another patient in that spot. So an insurance verification specialist is a very important profession, and you will find that a lot of larger organizations will tend to employ this specific type of job role. In smaller practices like solo physician practices, you're not going to see a lot of openings for insurance verification specialists because they usually have one or two people that do the job of many people because it's a much smaller practice. But I want to expound a little bit more. So you may be saying, okay, I'll apply for an insurance verification specialist position. Thanks for the tip, Tiff. But I don't really understand insurance. I'm a newbie and I'm not fully proficient on the different types of insurances. Well, in today's RCM Roundup, we're going to talk about some of the top types of healthcare related plans and how these plans work. So that way, if you are applying as an insurance verification specialist, you will have some background knowledge on different types of insurance plans. And then you can then go after watching this video and research these plans in greater detail so that when you get your job interview as an insurance verification specialist, you'll actually know what you're talking about and you'll, strengthen your odds of being considered for that job. So can I tell you about the most popular type of insurances? Okay, let's go. So the first type of insurance that I want to talk about is an HMO. So an HMO stands for Health Maintenance Organization, and it is considered what is known as a managed care plan. So a managed care plan is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It is a plan that is managed by someone. And usually the someone that manages the care of the patient in question is someone called a PCP, also known as a primary care physician. Your PCP is known as your gatekeeper. That is your first point of contact. When a patient has an HMO plan, all of their care, for the most part, needs to be coordinated through their PCP, hence the term managed care. So if you go to see your PCP and, you are having issues with your knee and, you need to see a pain management or orthopedic doctor, that referral will usually need to come from your primary care physician. You're not able to move around and see these doctors without the approval of your primary care physician. Failure to get proper notification from your primary care physician results in the specialist not being paid. So when you're working for an organization, especially a larger specialty organization, and that organization sees HMO patients, it becomes very important to make sure that you have the proper referrals on file from the primary care physician before the patient even comes through the door, because HMOs require that care be coordinated through the PCPs, who are the gatekeepers of the patient's plan. Another type of managed care plan that I want to talk about that is kind of like an HMO, but it's not exactly, is an EPO plan. Now, an EPO plan stands for Exclusive Provider Organization, and it is also considered a managed care plan in that the care needs to be coordinated through a specific network. However, it does have a little bit of an added bonus. And the added bonus with an EPO plan is you don't need to have the referral from the primary care physician. You can self-refer yourself to another doctor as long as that doctor is also a participating EPO doctor in that plan. So it's kind of like an HMO with an added bonus. And oftentimes you will see EPO plans being offered by employers of smaller organizations because they don't want their employees to have to go and get a referral for every service that they need. But at the same time, they don't want to have their employees, having out-of-network benefits, which can create more costs for the employer and the employee for the premiums. So they settle for something called an EPO. And an EPO plan is still pretty much a managed care plan because you need to stay within the network. If you go to a specialist that is not specifically participating with that EPO plan, the patient assumes the cost of the services. The insurance company will not pay for it. So again, that's an important thing to know. If you're a verification specialist and you have a patient that comes in with an EPO plan, you want to confirm that your group actually participates with that EPO plan, that that patient can self-refer themselves to you. The next type of plan I want to talk about is I want to talk about a PPO plan. Now, a PPO plan is a preferred provider organization. And PPO plans are plans that allow you to have your services performed in the insurance company network, but it also allows you to go outside of the insurance company's network and have something called out-of-network services with out-of-network providers. Now, the difference between an in-network provider and an out-of-network provider is an in-network provider has signed a contract with the insurance company in question, and they have agreed to a contracted rate for the services provided by that medical provider. An out-of-network provider is not bound by a contract. They are not obligated to accept the contractual rates of that insurance company because they have made the decision to stay outside of the insurance company's network. Now, the thing about out-of-network services is that employers and patients tend to pay a higher premium for out-of-network benefits. So if you're paying for these benefits, I almost choked. If you're paying for these benefits, then you have the right to be able to use those benefits. So if you have out-of-network benefits, you're paying a higher premium, and sometimes you may find that there's a really great doctor that you got referred to by your friends. A couple of your friends went to this doctor. They swear by this doctor, but the doctor's not in your network, but you have out-of-network benefits. You are still able to see that doctor because you pay for those services in your monthly premium. And an out-of-network or a PPO plan gives you the option to either stay within the network, which typically when you stay within the network, you will have lower costs. But you also have the option to go outside of a network if there are doctors that you would like to see that physician is not in your network. Now, one thing I do want to point out about PPO plans is we have seen that there are certain insurances, and I've seen this primarily in the state of New Jersey, where they call themselves PPO, but it's not the traditional way that we in the billing community understand PPO plans. So what do I mean by that? There are some smaller insurance companies that will call their plan a PPO plan, but the plan still very much functions like an EPO, meaning that the patient can self-refer themselves within the plan, but they cannot see a doctor outside of that plan. Otherwise, it wouldn't be covered. But yet they call themselves a PPO plan. Now, we haven't seen this in a large enough amount for me to be extremely concerned about it. But I do want to point out in this video that you can't assume that every plan that says they are a PPO plan works the way a traditional PPO plan works, where you have the option to stay in network or you go out of network. Some of them, their PPO really means EPO, but they're calling themselves a PPO. How confusing is that? That's like Inception, right? It's like a plan within a plan within a plan. But again, we don't see that very often. So I do want to let you know that the broader meaning of a preferred provider organization is one where the patient has the option to either stay in the network or the option to go outside of the network. Another type of plan I want to talk about is a POS plan. A POS plan stands for a point of service plan. And a point of service plan is basically kind of like a hybrid. It gives you the option to either stay within the network, and if you decide to stay within the network, you are going to follow the rules of a traditional managed care plan, meaning that you're going to have a primary care physician, meaning that your care will be expected to be coordinated through that primary care physician and you get the necessary referrals, etc. But point of service plans also have an out-of-network option. And the out-of-network option functions very similarly to a traditional PPO plan, meaning that you have out-of-network benefits, You have the option to go out of network. You will have to meet a higher deductible and co-insurance, but for the most part, it gives you the best of both worlds. Now, some employers tend to go with POS plans because they're less expensive than a straightforward PPO plan. So a POS plan is a great option if you're an employer and you want to be able to, for the most part, have the ability for your employees to go in network, but you do want to give an option to go out of network. That's where you will find the POS plans. And those are pretty much your major commercial-esque managed care plans. You have your HMOs, your PPOs, your EPOs, and your POS plans. I want to talk now a little bit about your federal plans. Federal plans are insurance companies that are subsidized by the government. So, as much as a lot of people say that they don't like socialism, Medicare is a form of socialism. I just wanted to put that out there. So Medicare is basically health insurance that is given to patients who are 65 years or older. And Medicare traditionally covers 80% of medical expenses. Medicare is covered in large part by the federal government. Working age people such as myself, when we get our paychecks, we actually pay into the Medicare system. So every time we get paid, you look at your paycheck, you will see a deduction from Medicare. That is what actually helps to fund the Medicare program. And Medicare is given to the population across all states. Medicare, you can actually have Medicare and live in the state of Florida. And if you have straight Medicare, you can see a doctor in New York via telemedicine. Medicare does allow you to, see doctors across all states as long as that physician is a participating Medicare provider. So Medicare is considered a federally funded program. Another federally funded program is insurance that covers our military men and women. So that insurance company is called TRICARE. And TRICARE provides medical coverage. It provides health insurance coverage for military servicemen, women, and their families. So that is also covered under the federal government and considered a federally funded plan. TRICARE is broken into different regions, East and West, but it's covered by the federal government. The breakdown between East and West just basically means if you're getting services in the state of California, your claims will be covered or paid by TRICARE West. If you're on the East Coast in the state of New York, your claims would get covered by TRICARE East. But overall, the company that covers East, West, North, South is TRICARE, and that is funded by the federal government. And then I want to talk about state-run plans. State-run plans are plans where the state legislative government funds the plans. So Medicaid is considered a plan that is funded by the state. Although Medicaid gets funding from the government, each state is responsible for how it rolls out its Medicaid program, what services it affords to Medicaid recipients in a given area. So what that means is Medicaid coverage in New York is not going to necessarily look the same as medical coverage in Oklahoma or Wyoming or Pennsylvania. Each state sets their own rules, their own terms, their own guidelines as to how they want to administer the Medicaid program. And under the Medicaid umbrella, you will also usually have programs funded by the state, such as Child Health Plus. That is something in New York. That is a health plan in New York that is offered to children ages, I believe, 19 and younger, where based on the family's income, they may make too much money to be covered by Medicaid, but not enough money, or they don't get coverage through an employer. So they have the option to get Child Health Plus for their children through local state insurance funds. Child Health Plus, Family Health Plus, things like essential plans. These are plans that are funded on the state level and are considered state-funded programs. There are certain state-funded programs where the patients do pay towards their plan. They pay a premium, but that premium is usually based on income. And with all of these plans that I mentioned, Medicaid, Child Health Plus, Family Health Plus, essential plans, you will usually be required to recertify every year. And recertification will usually involve providing proof of income to show that you still meet the income guidelines to receive this subsidized insurance. And that, everyone, or my newbies, that's your crash course on insurances. We've gone over your traditional commercial plans, we've gone over your federally funded plans, and we've gone over your state funded plans. I encourage you to take this information provided and go and do some additional research so that you deepen your knowledge of the insurance verification process, so that when you get that job interview as an insurance verification specialist, you've already gotten most of the tools to be a success. I can't wait for you guys to report back. Next, we're going to get into our comments. And then I have one quick reminder before we wrap up today's video. So the first comment we have is from @KaylaMacy8268. And Kayla commented on our certified video. The certified video is based on me finally passing the CDEO exam and just wanting to make a video about it because it was a journey. Kayla wrote, I've taken this exam 3 times. I scored 67% twice and 69% the last time. I want to cry, and I did. I want to take it again, but I'm discouraged. So Kayla, I put up a reply to your comment this morning when I read it because I can so relate. This video will probably come out. It'll probably go live about a week after I posted my comment, but your post really touched me because I completely understand everything you're feeling. So the last time I failed before I passed, I was actually on vacation with my family at the happiest place on earth, Disney. And I found out the night before our vacation was over that I failed by 2 points. I cried. Like, imagine going to Disney all week and spending the last night before you return home crying. That was me. Guilty. So I completely understand where you're coming from. I completely understand the frustration because, you know, if you're like me, you studied leading up to the test, you sacrificed to get it right, and you went into it feeling like I studied my butt off, I better pass, and you didn't. And that can be very soul crushing, but I want to encourage you to please not give up. And I know that's not easy to say, but I think I can say it to you as someone who's been on the exact journey that you've been. I want to encourage you to not give up. What really helped me was I had a lot of test anxiety from failing the test previously. So for me, and you know, I've spoken to some people who've done the online test and they don't like online. I'm very comfortable in an online environment. So I felt that when I finally took it the last time, which was my first time doing it online versus in person, the level of anxiety that I experienced was like, it was non-existent. It was the first time that I took the test and I finished with time to spare. Each time when I was in person and like they would count down, like just the pressure of knowing that time was running out and I still wanted to take my time and answer these questions. It really messed me up psychologically. So for me, switching from an in-person to an online environment took an entire level of anxiety away. Obviously, having to understand the type of test that I was taking and the way they were formatting the questions, because they kind of format it. They don't design it for you to pass. Let me put it that way. And I don't blame AAPC. You know, they're not giving away these credentials. They want to make sure that you actually have the proficiency to have the credential. So I'm not saying that to shade them, but when you go in to take this exam, they're doing it in a way where the questions are not designed for you to get it right. They put it in such a way where an answer can look convincing, but upon closer inspection, by the way the question is worded, it's not the right answer. So, you know, those are some of the things that you need to look out for when you're taking this exam. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out to me and I will gladly share any tips or nuggets that I can provide that will help you. But don't give up, get back in there, take it again, and please report back once you pass because you will. Okay, the next question we have came from Lily Blue 1990, And her question was under our video Certification Matters, our most popular video. Lily Blue wrote, could you still work remotely without having to start your own business? Well, if you would have asked me this question 4 years ago, I would have had a different answer for you. But for all the drama that COVID has brung and all the negativity that COVID has brung, one positive thing COVID did was change the game in terms of jobs. And you have picked a great moment in time to want to do this type of work remotely, because what COVID taught us is that you can actually hire remotely and recruit good staff and run your business. So no, you don't just need to have your own business to work remotely in this field. You can sign up to work with many companies. I encourage you to, if you're not plugged into LinkedIn, I encourage you to get plugged into LinkedIn, get plugged into Indeed, and just search remote medical billing and coding positions. You will see a wealth of organizations that are hiring remotely. Obviously, you're still going to need to be vetted by these organizations. You're still going to need to meet their criteria for hiring. But there is absolutely a market out there, an unbelievable market out there for remote positions in this field. So I encourage you to start looking. And please do report back once you land your remote position, Lily Blue. Best of luck to you. The last update I want to give is this is just a PSA, a public service announcement, because although this channel is dedicated to the newbies, I also have love for my elders, okay? And I just want to let you know, if you have a parent or a grandparent who is 65 or older and they have Medicare, that this is Medicare open enrollment season. Now, just to give you a little context, when our parents or grandparents become Medicare eligible, they get Medicare Part A and Medicare Part B. Medicare Part A covers, for institutional services. So if mom, dad, grandma, grandpa need to go to a hospital, those claims get billed through Medicare Part A. Medicare Part B is physician services. So if they're seeing doctors in the clinics, if they're seeing doctors in their offices, their private offices, those claims get billed through Medicare Part B. Now, traditional Medicare only covers 80% of medical expenses. So if your loved ones do not have a supplemental insurance that covers the other 20%, or if they are not Medicaid eligible, where Medicaid picks up the 20% that Medicare doesn't cover, that 20% that Medicare doesn't cover becomes your loved one's responsibility. So the open enrollment period for Medicare, which usually starts from around October 15th, and I know that it's about to end on December 7th, the open enrollment period allows them to sign up for Medicare Part C. And what Medicare Part C is, Medicare Part C are Medicare Advantage plans. So these are plans that partner with Medicare. Some popular Medicare Advantage plans are offered by Humana. That's a very popular Medicare Advantage plan. United Healthcare has a lot of Medicare Advantage plans. But basically what the Medicare Advantage plans do is, for a small fee, or even sometimes for no fee, they provide an add-on service that picks up the 20% that traditional Medicare does not cover. Now, I will tell you that usually if you want a plan that has no premium, that's a Medicare Part C, you will usually have to sign up with more of an HMO-based plan. And we explained at the beginning of this video how HMOs works. I'm not going to regurgitate that at this point. But if your family member signs up with a plan where they pay a small premium per month, they will usually get a Medicare Advantage PPO plan, and it'll give them the flexibility that PPO plans provide. But either way, the open enrollment period for Medicare Part C is coming to a close as of December 7th. So I want you guys to talk to your loved ones, talk to mom, talk to dad, talk to grandma, talk to grandpa, talk to great grandma and great grandpa if you're blessed to still have them in your lives, and find out if they're all good with their Medicare coverage, because they do have the option to sign up for Medicare Part C, which will help them with some of those additional costs that traditional Medicare does not cover. And that is it. You guys got a jam-packed RCM roundup filled with information from start to finish. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to watch this RCM roundup. I hope you found this information very useful and informative. As stated before, if you haven't done so already, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Thank you so much for spending your last 30 minutes with me. I truly appreciate it. Tiffany Robinson for Beyond RCM Revenue Cycle Management, signing off. Peace out.